Oh, what's going on?
Sorry, I got it.
All right. I thought maybe we were down again. Yeah, it's just, but gender in particular, one of the things that I said about one of the more bizarre things about today's political climate is that people selectively agree with science. It's like when it comes to climate change, like everybody is like pro science, like science all the way. Look at the studies.
Yeah.
Even when they don't even understand the studies, like there's a famous, and you know, you get in trouble when you bring up Tucker Carlson because people go, "Oh, you're a Tucker Carlson fan." I'm just, as a human being,
I'm not going to get mad.
He made some very good points with Bill Nye. He had Bill Nye on. They were talking about science, and he said, "Okay, if human beings are responsible for climate change, what percentage? What are the numbers?" Like, and Bill Nye really isn't a scientist. He's a science, what would you call
personality.
him?
There's a media personality.
He's a guy who's, he's a promoter of science, but not really necessarily a scientist. So he doesn't have long-term study and research to climate change. He's just sort of on there in a slightly arrogant way, saying things that I agree with. Like, what I agree with is that human beings are responsible, at least in part, with climate change. This is what all the research points to.
Yeah.
But when Tucker Carlson was pressing him on it, he really didn't have any answers for it. So it's one of those things where, like, people on the left will blindly support science in one way. Is that you or me, dang it? If it's me, I'm going to be very upset with myself.
Don't think it's me.
I'm a loser. But then when it comes to gender, you watch his show. He's got this wacky show on Netflix where they're singing songs about gender can be fluid and gender could be this, and
there's more than two.
Yeah, there's more than two genders, which he didn't used to say.
Yeah.
If you go back to one of his old...
I did see that. There was an older episode where they clearly say that gender is binary.
Yeah, this is like way back before all this nuttiness stuff.
Yeah.
So it's influencing people who are people are deciding, instead of supporting science and supporting the research on actual human beings as a biological organism. Instead, we're going with this bizarre, politically correct climate, which inclines people to this weird delusional thinking. And as an outsider, that's what's interesting to me, to watch all this. Like, look at this scrambling. Look at this weirdness, you know?
Yeah. It's hypocritical. It definitely is. And it's interesting to see. I mean, say the March for Science, I attended that, not this past year, but the year before. So people are there. They're super excited about science, pro-science. I think science is great.
Sure.
All this money should go to science. And you ask them, okay, so you're down for climate change being real, but what about Science Now by the left? And I asked so many people this while I was there because I was reporting on it for Playboy.com. And it's amazing. People get very uncomfortable. They don't want to say anything about. I would consider myself to be a liberal, but definitely liberals don't want to think about themselves being science deniers. And when you look at how people talk about gender now and biological sex differences in the brain, even biology more generally, people get very defensive. They get angry almost, and they find it threatening for some reason, which I don't understand. And that's a big part of my work, is to say I think we can acknowledge that these facts exist and that biological science is legitimate. That doesn't mean that sexism is okay. We're not saying that women are inferior or anything like that. Exactly.
That's the big point about all this, right? Is that we're not saying that anyone's inferior. We're just not the same thing. This is what the big problem is, to try to say, I certainly think we should all have equal rights, but we're not equal in terms of what we are. And it's not that we're not equal, like one's better. It's just like saying a wolf is not equal to a cheetah. They're fucking different things.
Yeah.
And males and females are different things.
Yeah.
And this is clear when you study us as an organism. You know, I had a really bizarre conversation once with a guy who's a professor or a former professor, and he was trying to deny that there's a difference between men and women.
It's crazy.
And one of the things I said, okay, you get a dog. Do you ask, is this a boy dog or a girl dog? And then he got like real weird.
Yeah.
There's really no answer to that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a fucking boy dog. You want a boy dog, right? Is it a non-binary dog? Like, what is your dog?
Or it might change its mind tomorrow, right?
Is your dog gender fluid?
Yeah.
Like, what is gender fluid?
Well, it's this idea that you can be one gender one day, another gender the other day, or it might cycle through the day, or maybe you're a mix of both.
That seems like if it was anything else, you would have to be fucking crazy, right? It was anything else.
Yeah.
If you decided, well, today I'm African.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow I'm Chinese.
Yeah.
You know, oh, today I'm tall. Tomorrow I'm short. Today I'm a pixie. Tomorrow I'm a wood elf. Like,
But I think everybody is, we don't have to call it something like gender fluid. Everyone is a mix of male and female, right? Like
Sure.
you have people that are maybe more typically masculine or more typically feminine, but even still, I don't think there are many people that are 100%
No.
one way or the other.
no, well, what does that even mean? I mean, people are clearly more masculine than other people, but does that mean that the people like, you know, let's pick a person, Bill Nye. Does that mean he's not a man? He's clearly a man.
Exactly, yeah.
He's clearly a man. He's not a LeBron James, but he's a man.
Yeah,
You know, there's obviously a spectrum.
yeah.
But-
I almost feel like that way of thinking is more old-fashioned because this is all about being progressive and open-minded. But I think if someone is a man but is maybe more female typical, to say that this person is a different category of gender or that they're, I don't know, not male, to me that's more stereotypical. You know what I mean? I think it's not progressive to say if you're a mix of both, you must be something different.
Well, you're not necessarily a mix of both, right? You just have a different hormonal profile and a different. It's different body type, different. I mean, people vary so much that, I mean, I think having some sort of categories to say, oh, this is a male and this is a female, it seems like it's pretty beneficial.
Yeah.
I mean, although we vary so widely inside those categories, to pretend that those categories don't exist just seems so weird. We would never do that with any other organism.
And it's a lot of work too. You see these companies going and they're trying to be more with the times, I guess. And
Yeah.
everything is gender neutral now. And I'm thinking all of that money and time is being wasted when I don't think that does anything for women or sexism. If
No.
you change, instead of addressing someone by ladies and gentlemen, you say people, is that really